Now that we've covered Class 1A and Class 1B, it's time to take a look at the darker side of things, the League of Villains. The group of outcasts working under his evilness all for one have caused more than their fair share of trouble for UA students, and pro heroes alike. And, spoiler alert, they are far from being done. While Class 1A and Class 1B were busy training by fighting each other and evaluating where each of these future pro heroes stand, and how they've evolved throughout the series, something wicked has been in the works behind the scenes. So for today's My Hero Academia video, let's rank 12 of the most powerful League of Villains members shown in the anime so far. The B-rank villain Magne might rank at the bottom of today's My Hero Academia list, but taking into account the League of Villains has over 40 members on record, it's quite the accomplishment. The ex-member of the Vanguard Action Squad's quirk Magnetism allows her to infuse opponents or allies alike with power magnetic polarity in a near radius. When using her giant magnet, she can pull anyone she magnetized towards her, and knowing how physically strong she is, she can easily knock them unconscious. Magnetism works differently depending on the gender of the person affected by it. Women seem to be polarized north, while men south. Keeping that in mind, she uses her overtly super move, Repulsion Breakup Moonlight Flit Cannon on two people of opposing genders, causing them to repel each other and fly off the other direction at high speed. This can be useful to get hit by two birds with one stone, or catch a friend in flight as the enemy flies towards the other direction. She was also seen using her quirk in combination with Kurogiri's Warp Gate to have her whole team make a coordinated escape. If Hellraiser's Pinhead could have children, Moonfish would definitely be one of them. The creepy B-rank villain is also part of the Action Vanguard squad, and caused quite a dose of fear among the young UA students in the early series during the Forest training camp arc. The totally nuts character's quirk Blade Tooth is one powerful ability to be feared. With the power of his quirk, the monstrous creature can create web-like patterns out of his sharpened teeth that can cover vast areas. During the Forest training camp arc, he was even seen standing in the air with the help of his long teeth, as he proceeded to attack Todoroki's ice barrier until an overpowered and out-of-control Dark Shadow interfered and defeated him. Nevertheless, Moonfish was by far one of the most powerful members of his little squad of crazies. Kurogiri is another B-rank villain, and acts as a second-in-command to Tomura Shigaraki, and was created by All for One for the sole purpose of protecting him. His origin story is rather tragic, because you see, Kurogiri wasn't always that dark, and once stood on the side of good. He was originally known as Oboro Shirakumo, or Loud Cloud when on hero duty, and was one of Eraserhead and Present Mix classmates back in the days at UA. The boy who once upon a time could generate clouds was killed, and eventually brought back to life by Dr. Kidae Garaki and turned into a Nomu, and gifted with the Warp Gate quirk. The level-headed villain has been instrumental in warping the League of Villains right into UA to attack students and teachers alike. While Kurogiri's strength stats are not that impressive, the fact that he can escape whenever, wherever, and bring his friends with him makes him one villain to be wary of. As we slowly enter A-rank villain territory, let's start with the totally out-of-her-mind Himiko Toga, who actually uses her real name as a villain name. Himiko, who will later have a more prominent role in the anime, loves to poke things at people. One part of her quirk, Transform, resembles Shinso's artificial vocal cords, as she can naturally mimic someone's exact voice. But the main feature of her power involves transforming into anyone's lookalike to the finest details. But, unlike X-Men's Mystique, she can't do it just by looking at someone. She needs to ingest their blood first. And that is why she walks around with her blood-sucking machine made out of large needles connected to tubes, which she can fill with her victim's blood. Those same tubes are themselves connected to a mask she wears during battle, which allows her to drink the transformation fluid as it is freshly acquired. The beefy A-rank villain Goto Imasuji, or Muscular, has one rather visually unappealing quirk, but a really destructive one. His quirk he calls muscle augmentation is every fitness influencer's dream come true. The man can grow as many muscles as he wishes, even to the point where it breaks out of his skin. His insane muscle growth has three main consequences. First, this allows his strength level to the top of the charts, which he showed off on many occasions by destroying buildings or overpowering Deku in a fight. Second, his muscles also act as a defense mechanism and exponentially increase his durability, as shown when he took Deku's Detroit Smash when he was giving his all at level 100. With all that meat over his body, one would think it would make him a slow opponent, but on the contrary, he's used his leg muscles to move at high speed and evade punches coming his way. The Frankenstein monster lookalike Dabi is another A rank affiliated with the Vanguard Action Squad. The eerily calm yet maniacal villain uses his quirk called cremation, which allows him to produce ultra-powerful blue flames. Just like Avatar's Azula's flames, Dabi's special ability is something that has been seen before. The fire has a raw power that surpasses even the new #1 pro hero Endeavor's Hellflame. The blue flame wielder has a few special moves up his sleeves. Just like Endeavor, he can use the flash fire fist technique, which involves Dabi increasing his flame's temperature to a very high degree, which in turn makes his attack way more powerful and grants him maximum speed. In addition to his flash fire fist super move, he can use jet burn when blasting fire directly at his target. One of Dabi's most powerful moves is called Prominence Burn, and is a sort of OP version of Jet Burn. By concentrating his entire quirk on one spot, he can launch an explosive beam of fire capable of eradicating anyone in its path. From this point on, we get closer to dangerous enemies with the S-rank villain Twice. The contradicting and multiple personalities man, known at home as Jin Bubagawara, has a very useful quirk he calls Double. This special ability gives him the power to create duplicates of pretty much anything or clones of anyone, including himself. While his quirk limits him to do only one other copy of anything at a time, he found a way to bypass this by creating clones of himself. Since the duplicates also have the double quirk, they could create more and more of him. With his super move Infinite Double's Sadman's Parade, Twice can end up duplicating himself thousands of times, resulting in an army of himself hard to bring down. Hood is another of Dr. Garaki's collections of Nomu. Also known as high-end, Hood is one of the most advanced Nomu created, as he is highly intelligent compared to regular ones. Acting as the main antagonist of the Pro Hero arc, he outclassed Endeavor a few times during the battle, and almost survived the #1 Pro Hero's ultimate technique called Prominence Burn. If it wasn't for the flying hero Hawk's intervention, Endeavor might have lived his last moments during that battle. Hood has a total of 6 artificial quirks. Just like Muscular, he has the power to use muscle augmentation, but he also has a high level of regeneration, shoulder-mounted jets, transforming arms, super strength, and the ability to store other beings inside his body. While Hood ultimately lost to both heroes, he ended up taking one of Endeavor's eyes to the grave. The leader of the League of Villains, Tomura Shigaraki, is not afraid to get his hands dirty. Showing up at UA and unleashing his villains against young students, Tomura has little to no moral compass, and would annihilate anyone who dares to stand in his way to get to his goal. Originally wanting to reshape society, the S-rank villain eventually came to the realization that all he really wanted to do was destroy it altogether. His quirk, Decay, allows him to disintegrate anything or anyone by a simple touch. The only way to survive decay is to cut the part that has been affected, and rather quickly before it's too late. His quirk can also spread and eliminate large groups all at once. But we haven't seen the real extent of Tomura's power yet in the anime, and before I go on, this is your spoiler warning. Alright, Tomura will later inherit All for One, turning him into an unstoppable machine. The S-rank villain Gigantomachia is by far one of the most impressive villains in terms of size. Gigantomachia is All for One's former bodyguard and there to protect Tomura if needed. While he was already quite strong during his time as the former leader of the League of Assassins bodyguard, he's been upgraded with a few more quirks since then, making him a powerhouse. The Titan's original quirk, named Endurance, allows him to transform the way he feels into greater stamina and superhuman strength. He was also enhanced with the quirk Pain Blocking, which blocks any form of pain, Gigantification, making it grow to an impressive size, and Dog, giving him a sense of smell equal to a dog. He can also go on without much food, water, or sleep, can harden his muscles, and grow mole-like claws in order to dig through earth or destroy anything in his way. Needless to say, Gigantomachia is one enormous scary guy. 9, who was introduced in the film My Hero Academia Heroes Rising, is by far one of the coolest to be introduced to the anime. His original quirk, called Weather Manipulation, allows him to summon thunderstorms and tornadoes storm style. He was also transplanted into a slightly weaker version of All for One by Dr. Garaki, which allowed him to steal a few quirks here and there. Before being defeated at the hand of the two one-for-all empowered students, Deku and Bakugo, he collected Air Wall, Scanning, Bullet Laser, and Hydra, granting him the power to summon blue dragon-shaped attacks. If 9 had been in better health, chances are he could have done way more damage than he did back on that island. The one who started this whole mess in the first place, All for One, or Shigaraki, obviously holds the #1 position in today's ranking list. This creepy, faceless man has one of the most potentially dangerous quirks in all of Japan. All for One gives him the ability to steal anyone's quirk, giving him a collection of powers to choose from when engaging in a battle. The only thing that he never got his hands on and that he wants more than anything else is his little brother's quirk, One for All, currently inherited by Deku. All for One has gathered countless quirks throughout the ages, like Search, which allows him to monitor a large number of people at the same time, or Forced Quirk Activation, which allows him to activate and use people's quirks against their will. If the quirks All for One and One for All would eventually merge, this would mean the creation of either one of the greatest superheroes that ever lived, or the most powerful villain that ever walked the earth, resulting in what may look like Doomsday.